So yeah, my career is in doing that thing just kind of grew really fast after that. At the time, I was about 30 pounds bigger than I am now, so I was really close to about 300 pounds. Kind of at like what you would say your peak of your lifetime, like your age when it comes to bodybuilding, like kind of your peak years of being able to do this stuff and be successful at it. So I was pretty good size, and we'd go to these parties, and I would meet people, you know, I guess you'd call them loan sharks or whatever. Basically, gangsters that they needed people to go and collect their debts and whatnot. And that was right around the time I bought my place over in Vegas. So a lot of these guys knew a lot of guys that owned or had something to do with maybe silent partner or whatever you want to call it, with a lot of the big casinos over in Vegas. So then my fucking my career in like this debt collecting and I guess for lack of a better term, private beatdowns kind of just fucking skyrocketed at this point, because now I knew, these dudes from fucking Hollywood. I knew gangsters that were like silent partners in these big, huge casinos over in Vegas. So they'd fly me all over the fucking place, man. I mean everywhere. I had to get a passport. I was going everywhere to collect money, for people. These guys would come from, somewhere, maybe in the United States, maybe out of the country, whatever. But they'd come, and they had a lot of money in the first place, but they'd lose it, and then they would borrow money, from the casinos or private people around the casinos, and try to like bounce home to wherever it is they were from without paying the fucking money back. So anyway, it kind of became mine, and I had a partner, this big fucking Samoan dude. I'm not going to say his name because I don't know what he's doing these days. He might still be doing it, so I don't want to put any heat on him. But I had this big Samoan dude as a partner, and we'd fucking fly around and drive around, and we'd fucking baseball bat your knees, or break your fucking nose or your eye socket or whatever if you didn't want to. We'd give you a chance. We'd show up. That's kind of how it worked. It's what we would do. At least when we did it, is we'd go the first time, we'd find this, whoever said person is that owed the money. Let them know who we were, let them know why we were there, and we'd give them 48 hours. We'd say, okay, well, you got 2 days, come up with this fucking money, or we're going to come back. And if we have to come back, it's not going to be pretty. Now, you can't fucking kill somebody that owes you money because you can't fucking squeeze water from a rock, right? So it gets a little bit more in depth at that point, because you can't just fucking walk in like the movies and twist a silencer on a fucking, P226 and put 2 in the back of somebody's head, because you can't collect the money from a corpse. So, if they didn't want to pay, or they were smart ass, whatever, we'd beat the shit out of them or whatever it is we had to do. And we'd get the money, and because we were able to get the money, we got a reputation of being able to get the money, and we, slowly but surely, really not so slowly, word got out to the other people that needed, folks to do this type of stuff. And here I was in my early 30s at the time. I had money from my trust fund already, and I'm making fucking 10, 20, sometimes 25 grand, 30 grand a week doing this shit because all my expenses are paid all the time, so I ain't paying for shit. I ain't paying for plane tickets, I ain't paying for gas, I ain't paying for food, I ain't paying for roids, I ain't paying for guns, I ain't paying for nothing. Really, the only shit I'm paying for is the luxury stuff I wanted to do when it came to like me and my private life, like with my girlfriend or my daughter or whatever. And yeah, I mean, that was really, I mean, I was, able to, buy a bunch of cars and buy a bunch of motorcycles and basically toys, shit that a guy would buy, when he's got money and then comes across even more money. This is, no, I'm not saying I did invest wisely, because obviously I don't do those things anymore. I wouldn't be telling you guys the stories about it. But so yeah, I bought a bunch of toys, bought a bunch of houses, and invested a bunch of money, and I basically live now. I live off of the interest of this money, and the trust fund at the same time, and that's why I don't have like a 9 to 5, and that's why I've said a few times I don't do this YouTube thing really trying to get paid or anything, because I don't really need to get paid. This really is what I decided to do to fill up some of my spare time when I'm away from my girlfriend and I'm away from a lot of my buddies in Southern California or Vegas. When I'm up here in Northern California where I grew up, really the only people I'm around is my mom and my daughter, and my daughter just recently turned 18, so she's technically an adult. She thinks she's an adult, whatever, and that's actually where I got my dog. I got my dog because early one morning, I think my mom called. My mom and my daughter called, and it's like I used to sleep, man. I didn't used to get up until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because my lifestyle, I was used to this fucking being up really late and training in down in Southern California. You go to gyms. I was at World Gym at the time in Glendale, but we could train really late, so I was up really late. I'd train late. I'd go to work at the club, whatever, or I'd work at the club 2 or 3 nights, 2, 3, 4 nights a week, and then the other nights I'd, be either flying or driving around collecting money for people. So I was always up late, and my life just kind of stayed that way until until I came back up here to Northern California, and it was going to be kind of a brief visit. I came up here for my daughter's high school graduation, and to see my mom, and do these types of family things. You get to a certain age and those things become really important to you, no matter who you are. I don't care who you are. If you say they're not, you're lying. So anyway, as I'm here, I catch the bug to start, training and bodybuilding again, and I decide, fuck, I'm just gonna stay here to do that. So that's why I end up getting one of my cars, so my car's shipped here and this and that and blah blah blah. Cause I figured, fuck, I'll stay here for a little while. Obviously not forever. I miss my girl anyway, but get this early morning phone call. I think it's my mom, and she's like, Kaylee is gonna come over, she wants to come over and see you. I said, alright, shit, whatever, I'm sleeping, it's like 8 a.m., that's like the middle of the night to me. But anyway, I said, what, is everything okay? And she goes, yeah, she said you'll be okay with it once she gets there. So I'm like, alright, as long as everything's okay, she's not hurt, she hasn't fucking hurt anybody else accidentally or whatever, God forbid. And so anyway, she comes walking in 10-15 minutes later, and she's got this little dog that really, is really, like, seriously the size of one of my fucking pistols at the time. Little, about this fucking big. This little black dog. And the dog starts licking me, kissing me, and all this shit right away. And I said, well, what are you going to name her? And I had bought my daughter a BMW. She wanted to choose between a BMW and an Audi. She chose the BMW. So she named the puppy Audi. So she could have a BMW and an Audi. Which I thought was kind of cute. Whatever, you might not. Whatever. Anyway, throughout my life, I've had, 2 or 3 of her cats, a couple of her puppies, because as soon as my daughter realizes that this, little thing is a living, breathing soul, it needs taken care of, needs to be fed, needs to be cleaned up after and trained, and realizes she's going to have to work a little harder, she didn't want to deal with it anymore. So anyway, I kind of inherited this puppy, which is like my best friend now, Audi is like my right hand, like I said, my regular right hand from up here in Northern California had been dead for a good 6 or 7 years now. So this puppy has kind of become my right hand while I'm here, She's really protective of me, and, I love this little dog to death. I love this dog. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, she sleeps with me. She eats, I give her people food. The dog eats steak and burger and shit, and chicken. She didn't really touch dog food with a 10-foot pole unless she's starving to death, which never really happens. So, she's a spoiled little princess. You see I'm out here, I sit out here with her most of the day, hanging out, doing my videos, doing whatever I'm doing on the phone. And she's got her little beds and shit set up everywhere, chairs with pads and this and that and all their toys. And, everybody jokes, they're like, God, man, that dog's a spoiled little princess, she everything she wants. But that's how I got the dog. And that's how I got a lot of my money. So there you go. It's not the entire story, but I guess realistically it's 4 parts of probably a 10-part story. And maybe we'll get into it a little more later. Maybe we won't. But, yeah, my girl said, man, you can't leave him hanging like that. Telling him, fuck, you'll tell me stories later. Go tell him at least 1 or 2. So I figured I'd tell you how I got, where I did in the business of debt collecting and working as a bodyguard or private security, whatever you want to call it. So there you go. There's that. So you got 2 pieces of some kind of funny stuff from the dog walk, 2 pieces of how I got where I am. So you got a 4-part story there to watch. We'll talk later. I love you guys.